Are you ready to get woke? Welcome to the Woke.As podcast with your host, Alex Lazarev.
So, hello everybody. Here we are again with another Woke.As podcast. Wow, like we were just saying, no clue how to begin this one. I never really have a plan, so I guess I'll just start talking and we'll see where it goes. So I was just at my mate Peter Sage's event. He's a business guy, but he's like a spiritual business guy. He's not just a business guy. He's more than just a business guy. Yeah, He's a force of nature. So I was there. I was a guest speaker, and I was just hanging out with a bunch of people, meeting people, whatever. But recently, with my new sort of awakenings I've been through, as you guys have been watching the older episodes, I'm a little bit more sort of aware of like kind of where people are at and their kind of how open they are, how happy they are, levels of consciousness. I just kind of see people, and I'm like, okay. So I was tuning into a few people at the event, and I'm just like, hey, how's it going? And you go, you guys are healers too? Oh, you guys are all about the consciousness too? Oh. So I was just hugging and finding certain people that I naturally had like a resonance to. And then this guy goes on stage, and I'm just sitting there looking at him like, who the fuck is who the fuck? Because I immediately just felt just the energy, the openness. I just knew he was at a high level of consciousness. So I was right away like, okay, I gotta fucking for sure gotta talk to this guy. And then we talked, and it was just not in a gay way, but kind of love at first sight. What did you say?
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree. It was a sort of a love at first sight kind of experience, wasn't it? It was quite trippy, quite unique. I think as we sort of discussed, because we've sort of both sort of been going through this sort of journey, and you experience a lot more sort of information, a lot more energy, and you like you sort of said, you read people, and you're sort of drawn to people in a sort of in a different sort of way than maybe before previously. And I remember the same with you when I sort of first walked into the room, and I sort of was scanning you, and scanning the room, and I just sort of picked you up, and I was just like, I need to speak to that guy. Like, I need to speak to that guy. I don't know why, but I need to speak to that guy. And it's this weird kind of thing which you just sort of feel like really sort of pulled to people, and it's pretty unique.
It's wild. It's total wildness. So basically, so we just started chatting, and it was just like it's instant, like you know how it is when you just meet like an old friend who you haven't seen in the current lifetime. You know what that's like, right? It's an old friend, but you haven't met yet in this planet, right? I think everybody knows that feeling. And we just started going deep immediately. And you know me, I love talking about my crazy woo-woo stories and like things that, it's just, that's just what I'm about. I just like talking about less after the ego death. I'm a bit more just kind of like everything is as it is and it's all cool. But when I meet people who are into it, I really like to share crazy things and all the information and bless people and heal people. And just anything I can do that's in that realm of like healing and awakening is just, I'm all up for it. I mean, that's just what excites me. So we just started yapping away. What was our first talk? God, I don't even remember. We literally were just standing there just going like it was just a brain dump of just like my shit and your shit. It was ridiculous. But basically I told him about the wacky ego death and stuff, and at some point we basically ran into a room and we started really downloading our stories, and I realized it was just, we had so much in common. It was crazy, right? It was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And this guy, he just told me shit that, again, for me, I'm just like, that's other. You couldn't tell it to normal people. People would think you're totally insane. But basically, he's the first person I've met other than Paul that's actually gone through the death and is also missing that piece of the ego consciousness that I kind of lost. He's also lost his one. His experience is different than mine, but he's also, we get each other. Like we can talk about, like he knows what the fuck I'm talking about, and he knows what I'm talking about. This is very interesting. So let's get a little bit into your story, because like here's the part that blows me away. A year ago, he was just a normal cunt. He was still fucked up. He was just and then he went through this. And like, I think my transformation was quick because it was like, over 4 years, and maybe the last 2 years it went really fast, and the last year was like really fucking insane. But he went from like just normal dude to like in a year to, you know what I mean? So it's completely insane. So even before we get to that, give us like who the fuck were you before? Like, what was your normal life? And then after you describe the boring monotony of that, we can get into your crazy last year.
Basically, yeah, completely normal guy. So my background is a behavioral consultant. So that means I sort of always specialized in working with people and just sort of helping them in various ways. From autism, Asperger's, mental health issues to physical conditions, etc. But at the same time, I was also severely struggling with anxiety, depression, mental health issues. And because of that, I was abusing alcohol, prescription drugs, illegal drugs, just to sort of try and round off all the noise and the crap which was going around my head every single day. I'd wake up and there'd just be this tsunami of toxic soup of emotions and negativity and just shit in my head. And I learned from a very young age, in my teenage years, that alcohol was a very good sort of like suppressant, and it would just dull the emotions down. And so for 23 years, I was an alcoholic, drinking over 100 units of alcohol per week. I mean, that's the equivalent of 10 liters of vodka a month. So it was a lot. Abusing prescription drugs, recreational drugs, living actually pretty fucking recklessly. Like some of the things I used to do now when I look back, it's just like, who the hell was this guy? I'd be sat in my car driving through central London, smoking a joint, bottle of beer, in the center console, roof down in a Mercedes. Everyone can look in and see. And I just wasn't even aware. It was just very much about my 3D human experience and how I could just sort of battle through the day and just get through the day without sort of like contemplating taking my own life or something like that. I was very unpresent. I was moody. I was agitated a lot of the time. I just found life pretty shit and tough, to be perfectly honest. And then, my wife was always sort of saying to me, look, I love you to bits, but, you do have a drink problem. Of course, my ego would just be like, bah, shut down. I don't have an ego problem. My goodness, I go to work every day, etc. I'm successful. Lots of justification, lots of bullshit. And the bullshit really started to catch up with me. And I was like, in the back of my mind, I knew there was issues. I knew my behavior was spiraling out of control. I knew that I needed to sort my shit out. I was coming up to be 40 years old. And a friend of mine literally just sort of contacted me, had come back from an ayahuasca retreat. And I'd heard about ayahuasca, but the whole idea of like going big on ayahuasca would just terrify the hell out of me. But whatever he said to me really resonated, and I just had this sort of something inside me just sort of really sort of started to buzz, resonating, and just go, dude, you need to do this. I was not spiritual. I certainly wasn't religious. I was a complete atheist. I didn't believe any of that stuff. I read stuff, and I'd intellectualized, spirituality as far as I was concerned, but I was completely naive and completely arrogant, really. So then I go off to this ayahuasca retreat in Ibiza for 2 weeks and have what can only be described as a earth-shattering reality check, where the concepts of my reality were challenged in massive, massive ways. Came back to the UK, and I came back into the UK into a really big sort of business deal that I was pulling off at the time. It was really stressful. So I sort of fell straight back into the 3D human experience very, very quickly, back to drinking, stress, abusing drugs. But in the back of my mind, I'd had this amazing experience on the ayahuasca, and I was like, I just need to really try and explore that space more. There's an element of my sort of human behavioral understanding was just like, dude, this could be really interesting. This put your brain into a different space, albeit for a short period of time. But it did do something. So I spent a year working with DMT by myself and, really exploring the space. And then a year later in October, I went back to Italy to go and do what I call my big ayahuasca session. At this point, my relationship with my wife was sort of falling apart, was becoming really strained, and I thought I was on the verge of losing everything that I held dear to me. So I went over to Italy, and I was just like, look, I've got nothing to lose at this moment in time. I'm just going to go balls deep. I'm just going to open myself up. I'm just going to surrender. I'm just going to try and cut through all my fucking bullshit and see what happens. And basically, I just had the most profound 14 days of my life where every single session I just went into just sort of praying to God just saying, look, I'm here. I see where I'm screwing up. I need help. I'm asking for help. I don't know what that even looks like. I never really believed in you, but I'm asking. I'm opening up myself to vulnerability. I'm embracing uncertainty. Just do whatever you can do. And for hours, I'd just be praying, drinking this ayahuasca, pray. And it took me on a really incredible journey, for the first two evenings, dealing with childhood issues, being bullied at school, shamed by teachers, genuine lots of different shit, which just really destroyed my essence and spark from my younger years. And then on the third night of the ayahuasca, I was just like, look, last ayahuasca, and it's going to go straight into a San Pedro experience. So it's a 36-hour deep dive into the sort of plant medicines. And I went in there, and again, I was just like, look, if anybody's up there, please give me what I need, help me, and I will then go on and help as many people as I can. So I went really, really deep into the ayahuasca this time, sort of 5 cups of ayahuasca, deep. And during the sort of the latter part of the evening, I left my body and sort of went over to a sort of third-person position. And stood in front of me is what I can only really describe was this being of light, a sort of humanoid shape, 5 foot tall light bulb. That's the best way to describe it, right? And we were communicating just through thought. And the entity, I have no idea what it was, male or female, it doesn't matter, I guess. The entity was just like, are you ready? I was just like, ready for what? Are you ready? It wouldn't say. It just kept saying, are you ready? And there's just this intrinsic fear in the back of me. It was just like, oh. And I realized it was the ego going, oh, hold on, dude. This is, we're out of control here. We don't like this. But again, this other element of me, which I wasn't, I hadn't experienced much of, was just like, dude, you just got to do this. You just got to do this. So I just agreed. I said, yeah, it's my conscious decision. Yeah, I'm ready to see the truth. And in that moment, just this light beam came down from the ceiling and just hit me in my back. And immediately my head just started to throb, like this incredible pressure headache just throbbing deep inside my brain. I sort of rationalized it. It was just like, dude, you've had 5 cups of ayahuasca. You're dehydrated. You're tripping balls. Don't even really think about it. It wasn't unpleasant, but it was a pressure headache. And I immediately felt things moving and shifting. I had no idea what. And carried on through into the San Pedro experience. And I was talking to the shamans. I was just like, guys, I've got this really funny sort of throbbing experience in my head. I said, it feels weird. It doesn't feel like a headache now. It feels weird, right? And I remember the shaman, he's like, oh, it sounds like you could have activated your pineal gland. He said, yeah, it can be a bit uncomfortable. He said, don't worry about it though. He said, it'll buzz off pretty much in, a few hours a day max, right? He said, but count yourself lucky. He said, yogis spend years trying to get to that point. So, it's good. It's a good sign. Anyway, long story short, this buzzing's never switched off. And, a couple of days later, I literally just woke up. Well, the day after the San Pedro, I woke up and I remember it was about 5:30 in the morning. I was the first one to wake up on site. As soon as I opened my eyes, I just realized something was wrong. And I use the term wrong because that was my first human emotion, just going, like risk assessing the environment, going, something's wrong. Something's missing. And then I very quickly realized that there was no thoughts in my head. And as soon as I became conscious in the morning, there was a barrage of thoughts. Hundreds and hundreds of different stories, thoughts, emotions, all bouncing around this crazy tsunami storm in my head every day. And it was just so quiet. There was absolutely nothing. There was nothing going on in my head. I was just like, I've never experienced this state. I've got slightly close to it once or twice, if I really focus on deep meditating when I was a teenager. But nothing like this, it was clear. There's nothing. And I just felt compelled to get the hell out of bed, get dressed, and head straight to this wonderful national forest, this pine forest in Italy, which goes down to the sea. And I just walked into this pine forest, and I just felt this prickly energy just being emitted from everything, like everything. It sounds really nuts, like from rocks, from the ground, from the trees, just everything. And my whole body was just tingling, my hairs were on end. And for the first time in my life, I just was like, I'm connected to this. Like, I'm really connected to this. And I was tripping out for like an hour, like 6:30 in the morning, as the sun was coming up, just going, what the hell is going on here? Like, this is all new. I was seeing different details. I was seeing hidden elements. I was seeing just stuff that I'd never witnessed before in my life. And it completely pickled my reality. And it took months to sort of reconfigure myself, to learn to ground myself after that experience. And it's only now recently, in the more sort of latter months of this whole experience, that I realize, what has actually gone on, with the sort of the ego death, as we describe it. I wasn't even aware at the time that that's what it was. I just knew that I felt different. And when I came back to England was the weirdest thing, because I came back and I was just like, I don't remember that past version of me. And I've come back into this world, I'm just like, which is chaos, because he's just caused loads of chaos. I'm just like, what the hell is going on in this guy's life? Why is my wife so angry at me? Why is she so pissed off? And, and then you just sort of remembering, like, fuck me, this version 1 was a complete fucking dick, out of bloody control, so disconnected. And then for the last 11 months, I've just been busy trying to patch up the fucking 40 years of bullshit that it just ensued in this chaotic character's mind. It's been incredible. It's been really, really crazy, enlightening, tough, emotional. I've experienced more human emotions than I ever thought was possible. I've experienced more pain and suffering than I ever thought was possible, and I've also experienced more unconditional love that I ever thought was even possible. And yeah, it's a crazy, crazy journey, and I feel now I'm only just about starting to ground myself and starting to understand what is going on in this sort of awakening, if you want to call it that. I try and avoid certain words because I feel they sort of sound really cliche, like woke or enlightened and all of that sort of stuff. I don't like using those sort of terms, but I do find myself now in a very different reality. And I've noticed, and my friends and my family have noticed, that my behavior is very different. I've gone from being very shy, very insecure, to very relaxed, very confident, very focused, just very different.
That's quite a start for a podcast, eh? That's quite a start. It's a good start. A couple of things there. I really want to talk about how I'm also just cleaning my fucking life up now and how intense that is. But first, so interesting, because with me, it was such a definitive death. Like, I literally went through the, holy shit, I'm dying now. Okay, I'm going to die and go to the others. Fuck it, I give up. And then literally waking up with in the completely different new reality without that part of that layer of the ego. So, and I just assumed that would be the way for it to happen for anybody, because it's just like, that's how it happened for me. So for you to have had it also go, but without actually going through the, holy shit, I'm fucking dying here, panic, even though it only lasted like whatever, a couple of minutes, is fascinating. That you it's like you're backwards kind of figuring out, okay, well, that must have happened. But at the time, you're just like, oh, that was a crazy experience. You know what I mean? So it's such a different, so it's interesting that it can happen in different ways, that people don't have to, because when I tell people about, some people are looking at me like, I don't want to go through that. That sounds really intense, because you think you're dying. So it's a little scary. So it's cool that it can happen in a not as fucking terrifying way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, for me, I didn't find it too terrifying. But then also, when I sort of think about it, did it exactly happen then? Or, has it happened, since then? Because I've had, since really sort of going deep into the plant medicines, I've explored, like say for like the 5-MeO DMT, the Bufo experience, where you do that and you just evaporate. You literally evaporate straight back to pure consciousness of source. And I think in those moments, I mean, I don't now. It sounds really weird. It sounds really stupid almost. But I have no fear of death. There is, as far as I'm concerned, there is no death. And I've found myself back at source as pure consciousness many, many, many times now. So the notion of death doesn't scare me. Definitely in the past experience, I've felt like, oh my God, I'm dying, or I've died. But there's never been that fear of it. I haven't really struggled with it. I've seen lots of other people, with their egos really battling with that fear of, oh fuck, I'm dying. But I've never feared it, and I don't think I've always had an interesting relationship with death because of my work. I've been there. I've watched 62 people die. I've seen them transition through into the other side, and I think that sort of gave me some sort of clarity. That this whole death thing wasn't as scary as we make out to be. But yeah, it's still a really strange feeling. It's going to be a year next month. Yeah, the year anniversary will be sort of 20th of November next month, which I think I'm going to have a party for. Well, I'm actually back on the retreat again in Italy, which I'm really looking forward to, because now I can go back to retreat as my new self, with everything that I know and all the sort of different experiences and the new skills, that I've sort of picked up or awakened over the last sort of 12 months. So I think this time in October is going to be big. It's going to be a really, really big session. We've got a really great group of people, lots of people who need lots and lots of healing. And now starting to understand what I'm able to do with energy. And, I try and avoid the term healing. I think it's an overused term. And, I know myself that it's not, you're not healing. People heal themselves. We can shift energy. We can remove things. But if they're still not doing their work, if they're still not sorting out their fucking head, then that energy is going to come back. And you see this with a lot of people now, and I think this is where humanity needs to sort of change their tactics. Is that you get people who become obsessed with drinking their green shakes, doing their yoga, all of these little sort of healthy lifestyle things, but they still don't ever address what's going on upstairs. And this is the key, and I think this is where what's really helped me achieve a lot of my results is that my background in psychology and understanding human behavior. So you can really sort of chip through your shit. Because I think if we want to use the word enlightenment, I think we had this discussion yesterday, the word enlightenment for me is more about recognizing that you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. Now, it is your choice. It's all of our choice to really fully invest into this human experience if we want to. And that is our purpose, to really go deep into this beautiful, dense 3D experience where we can really go, really screw into these sort of deep human emotions, pain, love, fear, whatever it is. They're all valuable lessons for us to learn and experience. And I think if people really want to sort of heal their shit, you've got to go through your process. You've got to go into your dark side. You've got to sort out what goes up on your head. And you've got to start to recognize, and like Peter sort of said over the weekend, with quantum alignment, you've got to understand that your inner world is what will be reflected out into your outer world. So if you're going through life just bitter, miserable, low energy vibrations, then 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, that is going to be the reality that you're going to be experiencing. And I see this with clients. I now do one-to-one coaching with clients, and I see this with people, and you see it in London all the time. You see these super, super successful people who've just been told, right, you go through life and you tick all these boxes, and once you've ticked all these boxes, you're going to be in nirvana. And you see these guys, you know, they work in the city, they're making $1 million a year. You know, they have, on paper, they have everything. They work out in the gyms, they look fit as hell, they're good looking, they've got loads of money, they've got loads of women, they've got their cars, they've got the houses. But when you sit down and their ego just subsides for a second, you're like, yeah, but how are you really getting on? I'm fucking empty. I'm empty, I'm miserable, I'm suicidal, I hate my fucking life. You know, I have people in my life who just take from me just because I've got the money, there's no real connection. Women use me because I'll take them on holiday, all this sort of jazz. You know, the exchange. And this is what really interests me now, is that I think we're starting to see the human race sort of starting to wake up and realize, is this life, you know, getting up, going and working for the man, getting stressed, you know, mundane, bullshitty jobs, existences? No, it's not. It's not why we're here. We're not here to slave away, making some other bugger millions and millions of pounds. You know, that's not what I call life. And I think, and for me now, my mission, which I've chosen to accept, is to really sort of help raise human consciousness, like it's exactly the same with you. And by doing that, we're going to really help improve the general human experience in so many ways. And that excites the hell out of me. I think that's really exciting. I think it's a real privilege. And I think it's fun for people like you and I who, you know, are charismatic, you know, hook people in, you know, can influence in positive fashions. So yeah, the future I find really, really exciting. Again, like we were still discussing yesterday. And I'm looking forward to continue to explore everything that you and I experience with more people like yourself.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, eh? Yeah. It was good. You're getting into a good rant. I was like, good. This is it. This is what I want. I want him to just beam into the truth, really. You know. One thing, you said before I wanted to dive into is it after, and it's enlightenment's a funny word, and awakening is a good word. You know, because we're all waking up, right, in our own ways. Even just being a person and going through experiences and fucking up and doing stupid shit and going, okay, that's the fourth time I've done that same mistake. I'm not going to do that one, at least that one thing. I'm going to stop doing that. Okay, well, you've woken up from that little bit, that little pattern or whatever it is. So we're all growing, right? We're all, even if you're totally like, nope, I'm not spiritual, I'm not anything, I don't give a shit, you're still evolving. Even if it's really slowly, you're still really slow. You're still evolving. And I know people who, this is one of my frustrations, who absolutely, nope, I'm not spiritual, my life is great, I don't need any, totally empty, no happiness, no growth, nothing. Been stuck for 20 years exactly as they are with their job, everything's safe, but absolutely no growth of any kind. They're totally fine. And I'm just looking at them like, on some level, even if it's just they need to spend 5, 10, 20, 100 lifetimes being there, they're still evolving, because they're getting, even if they just tick off one of those 100 lifetimes they need of absolute boredom until they go, wait a minute, good, they're getting to that. And 100 lifetimes actually is nothing. It's nothing. It's literally nothing in the big picture.
Well, I mean, and this is the beautiful realization, isn't it? Is that because there is no death, because there is no time, you know, once you start removing these sort of human elements that we've sort of really encoded our life with for fucking thousands of years, is that there is no time. We come from a space of outside of time and space as we know it. We've been around for eons of time. There is no way to measure it in any sort of human term that we can possibly fucking understand. So there's no point even trying to label it. You know, go back to the Big Bang, and that's when, you know, before that, you know, that's how old we are as, you know, this universe. And we are the fucking stardust. We are the universe. We are pure consciousness expressing itself in the most beautifully insane way. And I think if more people really started to tune back in to who they really are, and once you do that, you can't help but look at this entire human experience from a completely different level, a totally different perspective. It's like you've put on new lenses. I see life now as a wonderful game. When I say this to people, it does trigger them. It does piss them off. It's like, what the fuck do you mean, a game? Is my grandfather's cancer a game? Did he cause his cancer? I try and avoid those sort of questions because people tend to sort of kick off, right? But life is a game. When you pull right back out of all of this, none of it really matters. Our lifetimes don't matter because there is no time. It's a blink of an eye in the grandest scale of things. But all the time we're learning, we're experimenting. It's almost like we're an advanced AI system. We're like, you know what, we need to understand everything. So we just run these deep, complex simulations where we're just projecting billions and billions of different antennae into these experiences. So then you can look at this experience from billions and billions of different points of view. Why wouldn't you? I mean, that's exactly what we do now. As humans, we'll simulate experiences, war experience, so we can predict how things are going to go, weather patterns. It's no different that consciousness is doing. It's just simulating and just exploring and going deeper, deeper, deeper. Okay, well, we've gone this deep, but what happens if we go this deep? How does that feel? And because of that, there is just no right and wrong. There is no good and bad. Those are just human dualistic points of view where you just got to compare something. So you've got some sort of comparison. But again, when you pull right out of this whole experience, everything is good. Everything is a lesson. And as long as you're learning and there's a lesson, then you're winning. It doesn't matter if you perceive it to be a bad experience down here. Regardless, it'll make you cry, it'll make you bleed. You're going to grow. You will grow. And, I think once people really start to grasp this incredible power that we have, and once they start to really understand that, you are the master of your own universe. Absolutely. And I love this expression. And it's been around for a really long time, master of your own universe. And for years I had no idea, I had no concept, I had no understanding of what the hell that meant. But now, and again, going back to the sort of quantum alignment and quantum physics, this is all sort of backed up by science now. We realize that we've got this incredible electromagnetic heart, which can pump out huge power frequencies like this magnet. And if you're this bright, positive, happy-go-lucky individual, then guess what? That is what you will experience because you're sending that vibration out into the world. And that's just what you're going to draw back. And it's a really simple concept. It's not rocket science. It's not like you've got to spend months and months and months learning this. There is practice, of course. You've got to break those old behavioral patterns. But if you just start making simple changes to your morning routine, I meditate every single day for 10 minutes where I'm just setting up positive statements. I am. I'm experiencing this. These are the people I'm going to meet. And you're just telling the universe, you're just giving the universe instructions of what you expect to see. I create it here. I feel it from here, like it's already in existence, because it is. And then the craziest shit just starts to happen. And then very quickly you're like, actually, and I don't like this term, control, but you actually realize that you are in a huge amount of control. You have an awful lot of influence over everything you experience. Most people, and most people I meet in my line of work, their lives are shit. They've got to a point where their lives are painful. And they're in total victim mode. And a majority of people are in victim mode because we live in a society which is perpetuated by bullshit and fear. We're run by elite organizations who control us through fear and lower vibrational energy. And most people just can't think for themselves. They're working long hours, they're tired, they're exhausted, they get home, it's just like stick a meal in the microwave, sit down, bottle of wine, crash, bed, repeat. And it's just this repetitive circular cycle, which goes on and on and on. And we call it life. Really? We're divine beings of light. We're creator gods. Did we really come here to fucking work 12 hours making bloody coffees or working in a bank as a teller? Nothing's wrong with these jobs. I'm not knocking these jobs that anyone's doing this work. You do what you do, right? But do you really think you're here to do this sort of shit? No.
It's actually a little annoying because you're doing all my rants that I normally do. So there's not, because you just say what I say. So I'm just like, well, I don't have anything to add to that. That's usually my rant. So fuck you. Fuck you very much. That's awesome. Yeah, and this is this is the fascinating thing. Like, we can be here and in the current kind of paradigm that we're in now, and you can still work in a bank or still be a barista making coffee or whatever. But when you realize the truth that you're a divine being of infinite power and creativity, and yeah, you currently work in a bank. So what? You'd just be in the bank going, all right, mate, how's it going? Great to see you. You'd be hugging people as they came in to withdraw their cash. And people would be like, that's a bit weird. This bank has great customer service. It's not the bank. It's me. I woke up and I still work in a bank. That's what it would be. And so I say this to people. It's like if you really start to, work on your stuff, quiet the mind, you just go down the fucking spiritual rabbit hole and you start waking up and feeling amazing because you exist and you'll always exist. And the only thing you need to do to feel good is realize that you exist and that the joy of being is your nature and it will never change ever. But what you can change is your experience here, right? It doesn't matter what your job is. It makes no fucking difference what your job is. When you remember who you are, your passions, the reason you're really here, that will unfold. And eventually, as you're ready for it, and depending on your manifestation and, just where you're at in your development, you'll eventually get to that perfect life. But in the meanwhile, yeah, you work in a bank. So what? You'll be the happiest motherfucker working in a bank anyone's ever seen when you start waking up, right? So we can still have those whatever jobs, but still it can still be peace on, but once we have that, everybody's like loving each other, we'll soon just get rid of the shitty jobs and people will be doing the things that they like people who like computer programming, they'll still do it. Some people like interacting with other people, so they'll just be like, oh yeah. Some people will love working in a coffee shop. So most things people will still be doing, but they'll be doing it from a different place. Even if it's a job that's like nobody really likes that one, but people will just go, yeah, we'll all do that for a few months because somebody's got to do it, and we'll all just kind of share those jobs, and everything will just kind of fit in because once there's unity consciousness, we're all in it together. We're all supporting each other. That's where this is heading to, inevitably. But it's just how long will it take? We don't know.
No, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with anything we do in the grand scale of things. That's why I said, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. Those are just human labels we give to the experience. But the beauty is, like you sort of say, once you start to realize the game, once you start to realize that, and I know people sort of go, oh, this is just so woo-woo, what the hell are you talking about? This is just woo-woo, divine beings of light, but you really are. We really are. And, we can continue to pretend that we're just this sort of like funny little organic meat suit, which is just going to be around for like 70 years if we're lucky. And then we just die and we get stuck in a box and then that's it, lights out. But I can assure you the experiences that I've had, and anyone out there who questions this, I challenge you, go and do a deep dive, face your fear. Most of you guys won't, because you just be like, oh, I'm just not prepared to even experience the notion of death. What does that even feel like you're dying? Well, it feels exactly like that. You're going to die. And it's beautiful because in that moment, when you really truly surrender to everything that you believe is to be true, and you pop over the other side and all you've just bathed in just unconditional fucking love like you have never experienced. And all you know from the root core of your heart is that you are connected to everything. You are everything. That motherfucker at work who drives you fucking nuts, guess what? That's just you reflecting back. And if they're really pissing you off, they're pissing you off because that's inside you. And this is this beautiful game of life. And as soon as you start to realize that everybody you meet is a reflection, everybody you meet is an opportunity to really expand your learning and understanding, then this becomes a fucking computer game where you can run around collecting all your little gold coins, all your points. Because once you recognize that, okay, to graduate, to start moving up the layers, to start getting through level 1, level 2 of this incredible complex computer game that we call life, I have to do a few tasks. They'll make me feel a bit weird and all of those sort of things, but everything is temporary. Pain is temporary. Fear is temporary as fuck. Fear is just this incredible complex illusion. It's just beautifully designed to fuck with you. Because fear is this. Removing the physical fear of like if you're walking through a jungle and you're faced with like 1,000-pound lion, yeah, you're fucked. Right? Maybe not now. Maybe we'll be able to do something about it. But majority of fears, 95% of everything that we fear, isn't even real. 99% of everything we fear will never even happen. We spend our lives as human beings constructing, because we're the most incredible creators, constructing the most elaborate constructs, stories. And then what we do, we spend hours, and you can create so many stories in seconds. And then because we're absolute master fucking alchemists, we then start going, oh, let's make this feel real. So then we kick off all the chemical responses, emotions. So before we know it, we are simulating and creating, as far as our body is concerned, our physical body with our 5 senses that we currently have, a real life fucking situation. It's not real at all. You've just constructed and made it all in your fucking head. But because it feels so real, you'll then use that experience that you've created to code who you are, how you perceive the world, how you value it, where you see yourself in the world, how important you are. So the reality is that the majority of us are constructing identities and belief systems on shit that we make up in our heads. And we wonder why society is pretty fucked. We wonder why now, actually, we've got someone like Donald Trump as the most powerful man in the world. He's a reality TV star. He decided he was just going to run for president because he was pissed off that some girl was being paid more than him for the TV channel he was working for, just for a joke. And now he's the president of the United States of America. I saw this madness happening because everything comes down to patterns. And I put a bet on Trump winning.
Me too.
100 to 1 I got. And it paid for an entire year of my wife's 30th, Ibiza, all this sort of stuff. Because I knew, I could feel in my heart that actually society is crumbling and all this madness is coming out because it has to be exposed, because this system doesn't bloody work. And we need to fundamentally change how humanity operates. Because at the moment we live in this wonderful, wonderful planet, Gaia, Pachamama, this incredible playground perfectly designed for us. And yet we've got billions of people who can't read or write, don't have access to clean water, food, all this sort of jazz. And then we have people in their ivory towers with billions and billions of pounds in their banks, controlling, manipulating media, spreading lies. We've got pharmaceutical companies who are keeping us sick. It's all bullshit. You know, they spend years keeping, plant medicines illegal, propaganda, bullshit, control, fear. And all of this is going to crumble. And, I like to think that people like you and I are going to be part of those bright motherfuckers coming along with those halogen lights and just shining into the darkness and just exposing all of this and just waking people up. And waking people up isn't meant to be a notion of being patronizing. It's just about telling them a different story and saying, look what else is possible. Just because you perceive this, because you think it is real, it doesn't mean that it is. Humans can only see 1%, 1 or 2% of the entire light spectrum. So at max, we're missing 98% of all the shit that's around us. And yet we realize, we believe, we think we know what's really going on. Life is about to get very, very exciting. And I can't wait.
Yeah, it's something we spoke about yesterday. I briefly brought up. There's totally different realities all happening. Like basically 7.5 billion different. Everyone's in their own unique reality, but most people are still stuck in all those beliefs that we're supposed to believe. The fear, the competition. I'm gonna. For me to be successful, I have to. I gotta work harder, and I gotta do that. Everybody's really in the rat race because they're really believing in the paradigm that's been created, and it's been created like that on purpose to keep everybody under control. Yeah, and it's amazing. It is quite genius when you look at it. But I had a realization a few years ago, in one moment, and I just kind of went. I thought about it, and I just went, "Wow, the Matrix is perfect because it's actually the perfect setup for somebody to wake up." It's absolutely perfect. Literally. Like if you wanted to design a place where you're really fucked and suppressed and absolutely brainwashed, if you can actually come out of that and wake up, holy shit, it's like, what the fuck? So if you look at it as a tool for awakening, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And it's like, so it's like, it's suddenly, it's no longer like, it's not terrible at all. It's just, once you realize what it is, it's like a tool, it's a school for us to, wake the fuck up. Then hello, suddenly it's not so bad. But when you're in it, when you're really in it, you can't see that. And that's what we're trying to do. That's a different story we want to show people. It's like, hey, okay, you're in it, and blah, 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 but do you want to get out of this? And if somebody actually looks you in the eye and says, yeah, I want to get out of this. I want to see a different reality. Then they can, it's amazing how, and you're a testament to how quickly you can get out of that reality into a very, very, very different one.
Because like with everything, as you know, as we know, the universal law comes down to free will, and that's choice. So what we do, we create a playground, create this complex playground where you've got, in any given moment, if you're present, majority of people aren't present at all, and I know this because I wasn't present for most of my life. The majority of people just can't see it. They're just not going to move out of this. They just fall into this victim mentality where it's just like, woe is me, poor me, I'm victim, this is happening because of that. It's blame, justification. This is what you see with people. And this is why people actually just have to, you've got to take a stand. You've got to sort of man up. You've got to sort out your shit. And you're absolutely right. And it's a really valid point that this has been perfectly designed, because what I realized with me is, for years, I would avoid anything that I perceived to be painful, be it physical pain, mental pain. That's why I used to drink and take drugs, to try and round off the edges of my mental pain. I was a coward. That was the best way to describe it. I was a coward. I was living in fear. I didn't want to face up to my shit. I knew my shit. I knew my shit at 21 years old. I just wasted another fucking 19 years until I sorted it out. Another lifetime before I sorted it out. But when you do decide to make that choice and you use pain to motivate you, because this is what I've realized with me, is actually pain is a really, really good friend of mine, because actually now, if I'm experiencing pain because it's trying to highlight something. It's trying to say to you, something's wrong. You need to move. You need to create something. You need to move out of this. But the problem is now is that people have lost themselves. They live in pain, but they quickly normalize the pain. So what happens is that, you start here, you leave school, you go into the big bad world, you leave college, and you're young, dumb, full of cum, you got your fucking degree, you've got your ego is just full chat, you believe you can fucking take on the world, and you know what? Good for you. Good for you. In this day and age, sometimes you need to have that fucking gumption. But very, very quickly, because there's no real foundation, people get knocked down. Their energy drops. They become anxious. They become depressed. But because our bodies are just so advanced, they will normalize situations. And very quickly, a few weeks, you'll start to normalize, and your base state will go from here to here. You're not going to notice that difference. You're not going to notice that you're waking up slightly more tired, slightly more anxious, slightly more irritable. And over decades, that's going to chip, until you're in absolute full victim mode, where you are completely bloody stuck with life. You can't see the wood for the trees. If you are aware of it, it's because your fucking wife's pissed you off, or you hate your job, or your kids are driving you mad, or you're stressed out because of your mortgage payments. It's everything out there but you. And again, it takes that back to that analogy. You can sit there and you can wake up every single fucking day and do your meditation, yoga, drink your kale shakes. But until you face up to the fucking noise and the bullshit going around your head and the way you think about life, yourself, your friends, everything, then you're going to remain stuck. Because the biggest skill that we all have is understanding to learn to be the master of our universe. And that means becoming the master of your emotions. Because if you're not the master of your emotions are going to master you. And this is what happens to most people. And this is why people just remain in this victim mentality. And you see it because as soon as you challenge them, bang, Mr. Ego pops up. Motherfucker, how dare you challenge me? You have no idea what my fucking story is. You're like, greatest respect, I do. Because I am you and you are me. And actually, now this is where I come from, is that the quicker we can help wake up, raise people's vibration, the quicker my existence becomes even more utopic, even more exciting, even more full of fucking excitement and love, unconditional love. And real unconditional love. When you come from a point of unconditional love, that Christ consciousness, there are no drugs on this planet. There is nothing that can resonate deep inside of you, or that sort of frequency. There is nothing that makes you feel more connected to everybody in this world. And then you realize that you can look at everything completely objectively from an observer's point of view. You can attach any meaning you want to anything. You can create any story you want. You can write your scripts. You can achieve your wildest dreams. You just got to believe. If you believe in the magic, you'll start to see it. If you can't believe in the magic, if you can't get yourself past that egoic state to go, just maybe what they've been talking about in the scriptures, talking about across many, many different cultures for thousands and thousands of years, just maybe all of that shit, those mad little buggers who sit there and meditate for years, is right. And it is. I was a bloody atheist until 12 months ago. I've now had conversations with God, as weird and as crazy as that sounds. You know, I don't believe in religion the way the humans do it. This controlling religion thing, shaming, you know, God's judging you. Fuck off. God doesn't judge. You don't have to go and fucking repent your sins to God. Why? Because there's no right or wrong. He doesn't care. He's benevolent. He loves you either way. Life is beautiful. Life is incredibly exciting. And even me at my stage, like I sort of said to you, I think last night, I don't think I'm even at 12%.
Yeah, you're fucking really getting me thinking when you're saying that, because you know, when you go through the death and you know, because we've come so far, we're just like, wow, life is so holy shit. But yeah, because I know deep down the real human potential, I know it's possible to teleport. I know there's beings out there who can create a Merkaba route, and they can travel around. I know that's possible. I know there's beings that can bilocate and be in two places at once. I know for sure. And I suspect much crazier things, different, like literally time travel, I think is possible. All of it. Like the craziest shit. So even as you're like, oh wow, we're awake and fucking we feel love, we're connected. Yeah, we're still fucking babies in terms of the top level of human. Have you ever heard of Anastasia in Russia? The Anastasia books? There's like, I think 9 or 10. I mean, there's shit tons. But basically, she's this, and you could say mystic, but she's from an ancient lineage of beings that live out deep in you know, the forest of Russia. I believe in Siberia. I read her book years ago. And some guy basically met her and started writing all her teachings and stuff. The shit she's talking about that she can do and that she's done. She's one of the old. She's basically just a human being in a lineage where they haven't forgotten our power and what we can do. It's insane. And you're reading it and you're like, yeah, that's actually where we're supposed to be. So yeah, so we're all babies, you know. We're all just babies somewhere along the line of just our, you know what I mean? Yeah, limitless potential.
Yeah, completely limitless. You know, I think is as long as you can construct the intention, the thought process up here, then we can make it real. We were talking about this with manifestation, weren't we? And this is something which, you know, we hear about a lot. You know, it's quite common to hear even in the 3D human world talk about the law of attraction, manifestation. And, you know, there's lots of people who do classes and teach you how to manifest. And just that sort of notion of being able to construct and to think about something and then to bring that into your reality. most of us, because most of us can very easily go to default negativity. We all do this. We'll stick a song on which will make us sad, and we'll cry, and we'll feel down, and we'll feel depressed. We'll sabotage our current mood to create a situation because it makes us feel, I don't know, maybe more alive or whatever it is. Connect to this misery. But what people don't realize is that it's the same fucking energy. You can just turn the switch to positivity. And when people understand that, they can manifest anything they desire into their lives. And when I say desire, it's not going to be like, right, I want $1 million, poof, pile of cash. That's a bullshit manifestation. That's a 3D human manifestation.
Let me tell you my theory on it, because I think you're going pretty deep in it. So this is my understanding, and then I want you to add to it. So when I went through the death, I realized like the reason the shit people want doesn't happen is because they're trying to manifest from the ego. I want $1 million. I want a Ferrari. I want a fucking boat with whatever. Yeah, you want a Ferrari. How does that help humanity? How does that help the Infinite One Creator in exploring consciousness? How does that help anyone but your ego that wants to feel superior because you have a nicer car than other people? It's absolute fucking bullshit. That doesn't mean you can't create it. You can. You can, but you're doing it on your own. You're doing it disconnected from, I mean, we can never truly be disconnected, but rather to say you don't have the support of the Infinite One creation, the true power. Your higher self isn't there going, oh, we have to align some shit so this guy gets his Ferrari. No, I don't think so. So that's why. Oh, I can't get what I want. Yeah, because you, the soul level connected to the Infinite One, that doesn't want a Ferrari. The ego wants a Ferrari. And you can get it, but it might be a bit of a struggle. But when you connect to this, really, and your purpose, you don't want a Ferrari. You want to help other beings heal and wake up and love themselves and recognize these higher truths. And when you set your intention of that, like, God, I want a career where I can help people love and heal themselves and remember who they are, higher self hears that one. And higher self goes, oh, are you ready for that now? Boom. You got your fucking boom. I got my fucking boom. There's all the support. I mean, beyond imagination. Miracles are just normalcles, as Paul calls them. It's just normal when you're coming from who you are for real. Not that you go, oh, if I could just make half $1,000,000 a year, then I'll be good enough. Then I'm going to get that girlfriend I always want. I just need to get that extra $100K a year in income. Yeah, bro, that's going to be the thing. It's going to make you happy. So that's my thing. Don't manifest. When you're really connecting to you on the soul level, you can create fucking anything if it's in alignment with consciousness itself. That's my personal theory. Seems to be working quite well, but I haven't really been practicing like I want this, because the only thing I want is what I've said. I just want to help everybody as much as I can get out of that reality into the new one and get to that place of liberation from the suffering of the ego. So that's my only real desire. And I'm moving in that direction, and I'm constantly getting downloads on, I could do this course. Oh, this is a great bit for my stand-up comedy. Oh, I could do this and merge healing and comedy and all. So I'm sort of always getting these downloads and moving in that direction. But I never sit there and go, okay, I need this amount of money, or I need this and this and this. I just always seem to get what I need anyway as I'm moving towards, you know what I'm saying? But I've had freaky ass shit where I really needed something, and I was like, holy shit. But it was almost like happens automatically. I very rarely go, okay, I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes and I'm going to really try and bring this in. I don't do that. But I think I'm going to start doing it more because I realize it's possible.
It's completely possible. And I think people try and manifest. They don't get what they want a couple of days later. So they're like, fuck this shit. This is just absolute bullshit. And you're like, bless you. No. You haven't been taught. First of all, with manifestation, you need to be able to create a vision. How does this look? What does it really, really look like? But the most important thing is you've got to know how it feels, because that's what you're chasing. We chase feelings. If $1 million suddenly appeared there and we split it $500,000 each, that's potentially going to give us a feeling. It's like, I've got $500,000. There's security. I can go and buy a place in Poland. Great places, super well priced. So ultimately, all you're doing is we're chasing feelings. I want this because this is going to make me feel this way. People buy a Ferrari. People get that beautiful blonde Swedish girlfriend because of the way it makes them feel. Significant is usually one which people are looking for. I need to feel significant. I need to feel valuable, valued, valid. But with manifestation, all you need to do really is, you've got to believe. You've got to believe that it's already there. And you're absolutely right. If you're in you find your divine purpose, and you're like, look, I'm here to really help improve humanity, however that looks, then what you'll find, if you really are truly doing that, and remember, you can't bullshit upstairs. You can bullshit people. We can bullshit each other. But you can never bullshit upstairs, because upstairs has 24/7, 365 access to everything that you fucking think about. And this is the funny thing, that when I really truly understood this, and it like really internalized, like, dude, like, you can't bullshit, because they're what, it's you. You can't bullshit yourself. You can try. I tried to bullshit myself for fucking years, and it just didn't work. But when you get past that notion of just letting go and just getting on the right path, dealing with the ego, removing yourself from, well, I need to have this house, I need to have this girlfriend, I need to be driving these cars, I need to be wearing these kicks, I need to be wearing this suit. All of that's just bullshit. It's all third-party stuff. It's all external. Everything you want, everything you desire, every emotion, every feeling is already inside you. It's all here. We are the alchemists. We can create any sensation, any feeling we want in our bodies with a bit of practice. And once you start to realize that, and you realize that this sends out frequency, and you just got to tune your radio in to what frequency you want. There's no point going, right, well, I want to listen to European dance music if you're on some fucking jazz classic FM radio station. It's not going to play what you want. You're going to have to change your frequency. And this is where I go with so many of my clients. Clients will come in and these people are really successful. They've got more money than me. They're intelligent, super bright. But they just don't see it. They don't understand these very simple rules. And the universe is very simple. It's not complex. It's been designed to be very, very simple. And, when you, like you sort of said, when you're in alignment, when you're doing things for the right purpose, if you want to change the world, no, we're not going to manifest $1 million. But guess what? We would manifest a client who would come in, and we'd work with that client. We'd fix their shit. And we'd be like, dude, what's that worth to you not to have all that shit now? Oh, $1 million. I'll give you $1 million. This is how it works. It's not about chasing the Ferrari, the house. It's about chasing opportunities for you to, again, make a decision to change somebody's life. They will then make a decision to change yours. It's an exchange. It's always a balance. There's harmony. And the universe loves balance. When you start, like Peter said over the weekend, when we push, and you see this a lot with 3D human people, they're just constantly pushing, striving for stuff. But as soon as you push, you create excess potential. As soon as you create excess potential, the universe is going to create balance. It's going to just push right back. And this is why you see people going, you know what? I work really, really hard. I'm really conscientious, but I just don't seem to understand why all this shit seems to happen to me. What do I do wrong? Why do I keep attracting this shit into my life? Because it's you. Everything we experience in our world is us. And to see change, you have to create that change internally. And change doesn't have to be scary. Again, as soon as you mention change, your ego is going to go, oh my God, this motherfucker's talking about change again. And change is painful and it's going to be big. What does change look like? Ooh, nervous, nervous, nervous. We don't like this, dude. Don't do change. Fuck change. Stay in your comfort zone. But change can be literally just change one thing by just 1%. And the analogy I'm going to give, it's a really good one. My cousin gave me this. It's like, imagine you're this big oil tanker out at sea. One of those big fucking oil tankers. And you change your course by just 1 degree. Makes no fucking difference there in that moment. But 5 miles down, you're on a totally different path. Have you had to do something really hard? No, you just changed something by just 1%. 1 degree. You just change your perception just by the tiniest bit. And this is what I found out in life, is that it's not about these huge, great big changes. Yeah, the ego death is pretty conclusive. But everything else you just look at from a slightly different angle. And then you see a totally different landscape. And you see all this freedom, you see all this beauty, you see this endless opportunity. We live in this world of absolute abundance. And for a long time I couldn't understand this notion. There is more energy in this room, or there's enough energy in this room to power this entire universe. We live in abundance. Everything is frequency, vibration. That's all you and I are. And once you start just to understand that simple concept of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum alignment, you start to understand that you can use this to create amazing vibrations from this. Magnetic vibrations. So that means that comes back to you. And you can start just to play with it. Because that's all it takes. You know, I challenge people. I challenge clients. This is what I say to them. It's like, if you really want to see how powerful you are, if you really want to see how godlike you are, I said, do this. Spend 7 days, get up in the morning, and for 10 minutes you sit there and just think about all the shit that can go wrong in your life. Think about all the cunts that piss you off and really invest in all that feeling. Just really pull them all in. And you see how that week goes. Do it every single day for 7 days. Keep a diary and see how your week generally goes. And you will see, because what you're doing is you're moving yourself out of alignment. And as soon as we move out of alignment, we create space. And in that space, chaos ensues. And then the week after, do the same fucking thing, but sit there for 10 minutes every single day and just think about all the most orgasmically beautiful fucking things that you can experience and really feel it from your heart. All the love, all the passion, all the excitement. And again, see how your 7 days go. And then come back to me and then tell me that you aren't a god and you do have no control over your personal universe. It's a very simple technique. If people are willing to test it, it will shake their reality. And you don't need to take drugs to do that. You just need to sit down and, for once in your fucking life, just really say you're going to do something and commit to it. Have some discipline. This is a big thing that most people are missing, is personal discipline. And then they just whinge, oh, well, my life's shit. I don't have no control. Yeah, but you fucking just lying in bed. You've got no fucking discipline. I mean, you can't even discipline yourself. If you can't even discipline yourself, how are you expecting the universe to know what the fuck you want? You're constantly sending out mixed messages. And then you wonder why your world's chaotic. Get your house in order. Everything else will just fall into place. Or you could just play victim. Keep being victim. Poor me, poor me. Life is crap. Shit job. Boss is a bastard. Wife is a leech. Kids are just shit. What am I going to do? God, it's Friday night. I'll just get tanked up, pass out, watch porn, argue with the wife. Repeat. Oh, but it doesn't matter. I earn 100k a year.
You're quite good at that character. I could just see you I can't. It's quite good. You just get into it. That's really quite good. You sound a lot like Richard Rudd, the creator of Gene Keys. You've got the same British accent. Like, it's literally like I'm talking to him. It's really creeping me out. It's just like, it's, I've never said this to a guest, but you actually have a really sexy voice. Thank you. Yeah. If I was a chick, I'm pretty sure, I'd be into it.
Well, the interesting thing, so about the voice, so everything being vibration. So the voice, as soon as you're talking, you're casting spells. You're making people feel a certain way, and that's why the human voice is so powerful. And this is why I want to do more stage talking, because as soon as you're talking, you're sending out this vibration. You're coding, you're imprinting, you're making people feel a certain way. If you make people feel safe, comfortable, this is what I do with my clients. This is why I'm so bloody good at my job, is that I'll create a space where the clients can be so fucking vulnerable, but they know in their core soul that they are completely fucking safe. And in those moments, that's when you create the healing. I don't heal. People come up to me all the time. Oh, you're the healer. You're the healer, yeah? I'm like, no. You heal yourself. I say, I'm just going to help assist. I'm going to help create an environment where you feel safe enough and comfortable enough to heal yourself. Most people never get to that point because the ego is just this incredible AI system which is just desperate to keep you fucking safe. And it's literal, and it takes in everything. So the smallest bit of data, which could be resembles, past trauma, will activate it. That could be a smell. That could be a fucking color. That could be a sound. Doesn't mean that you're anywhere near the risk of that original trauma or incident, but then your whole body system will kick off and then just take you straight back to that emotion. That's why then suddenly you're walking down the sidewalk and you're like, fuck, why do I feel so shit?
So here's a question. So many potential threads right now. It's literally a struggle to go, okay, there's all these things we could go with. Let's pick one. I've met certain people and had people in my life that were so stuck in depression. Like they're so in that negativity, totally cut off from source, absolutely hating on themselves. And because they're hating on themselves and they really don't feel worthy of that love, they sabotage on such a deep level. It doesn't matter whether you could read this or you could do this. It didn't matter what I suggested. It didn't make any difference. Nothing made a difference because they never hit that low point where they literally, and this is my new theory I'm formulating. It's like, because we're all in our unique awakening process, right? It's like everyone has to be really left alone to fucking go through whatever it is they need to go through. And oftentimes they have to hit rock bottom, literally to the point that they go, if there is a God, please help. And that's when things change. Because until they get to that point, it doesn't fucking matter how much you love them, how much you care, but there's just nothing you can do because they're so in it. They're so in it. It's like they have to save themselves. And it's so painful, especially when you're in such a good place and you're seeing people in such a bad place and you're just like, holy fuck, if you just, you know what I mean? If you just won't. And you can't do anything. And it's frustrating, and it's been my biggest challenge in the last year, leaving and the universe is, giving me smacks when I've tried to help people that absolutely, actually, I need to leave the fuck alone. It's been, and I get it now, but it's been hard, man. It's been really hard for me because I really love people and I really want to help them, especially when they're really, really fucked up. So, yeah.
Well, we touched on this yesterday, and we both share that deeper experience. And I have people in my life who I'm so in love with, they are me, they're the most important aspects of my life, and yet they are still in that fear mode. They fear everything. They can't see the wood for the trees. They are so consumed and stuck by rigid belief systems, fear, trauma from the past. And just the notion of healing, going deep, really facing up to the bullshit just terrifies them, and it just keeps them so stuck. And I've spent many a night over the last sort of 12 months in tears, feeling just so lost, because all I want to do is just to be able to just go, fuck, just let me show you, and it's really, really challenging. And then you see, you have to come to a point where, you recognize that actually some people aren't going to be with you. They're not necessarily going to be on your same journey. And that might mean some sort of separateness in this human experience for a period of time. I seek solace in the notion that I now understand that, we are all connected. We're all one. So, these important aspects of myself or people, we're always going to be together. And, but I think for me, it was a big thing I've learned over the last sort of 12 months is attachment versus non-attachment. I'm no longer attached to the people in my life. I'm completely connected, but I'm no longer attached. Because to be attached means that something can be taken away. You can lose something. And you can't lose anybody. You can lose the story, the situations that you thought were real, but everybody is on their own journey, and it's really important. My mentor always says this to me. It's really, really important that we do not interfere with other people's ascension. Because it's like cheating in class, right? It's like cheating in your fucking maths test. At some point, if you cheat, you're going to get caught out. You're not going to be able to graduate because you're not going to have the knowledge. And this is an experienced, learning-based reality where it's all about experience, learning, going deep into it. And if we try and help people along, we're de-skilling them. And we see this a lot. We see parents de-skilling their children. We see other people de-skilling other people, trying to help. But they're not ready. And the universal law of free will and their freedom to choose, they have to choose. And they'll either choose to remain in that negativity. And going back to a point you made earlier about having to get to rock bottom, that's where I fucking was. That's what it took for me. I had to be rock bottom to that point where I believed I was about to lose everything. Absolutely everything. I remember going through the fucking airport, going out to Italy, where I knew it was going to be big. I knew shit was going to die, and I knew shit was going to be reborn. I was so emotional. I was crying all the way through the airport. They nearly didn't even let me through fucking security because I was just like, what is wrong with this guy? I was in a state. Like 6:30 in the morning, I was eating sushi and drinking red wine, just trying to fucking sort my shit out. I was so lost. I was so scared. I was so full of fear. But at the same time, I knew, and I don't know why I knew, but I just knew, that if I really fully immersed myself into this experience, and coming from a point of just absolute loss, pain, negativity, like the only way you can go is up. And that's what happened. And I think it's right. You know, I think sometimes people do need to get to that point of just like, fuck. I'm at rock bottom. I've completely and utterly fucked up. And I need to do something which is going to really change that.
Yeah. I finally got there, the non-interference, but it took a while. It took a real long while. Now it's a lot more easy. It's a lot easier because you can just let go and just worry about your own learning and growth and your own purpose, and you know what I mean. And if that's helping other people, great. You're working with people who have reached out to you and have said, "Please help me," and then game on, right? But until you get that, you just have to live your life.
But what you can do, what I do is, with those people, is that, we know this. We were talking about this last night. We can focus our attention and send them positive intentions. That's what I do. I send them as much external support to them. They can choose then to engage that or to take it. But I will send them that unconditional love. I will make sure that they know I am always here. My door is open. There's no judgment. Unconditional love, complete compassion. And what you do see is that it does penetrate. It does go in. It is a slow process. It's not fast because it's their journey. And as soon as you start putting your time constraints onto something, that's disappointment for you, frustrations for you. But you can help them with just unconditional love. And it is about stepping back, I think is the wrong word, but it is. It's just about stepping back a bit, but just focusing some really positive energy, positive focus and attention onto these people. And I think that will just come through as just additional hidden support behind them, just that gentle little lift. And I think in time, they will grow and they will change. We have to be patient. We come from a reality where we can click our fingers, create a thought, and it's there. And this is why the human experience is so fucking tough. For a lot of us, why we get so frustrated, why we find it so dense. It's a very dense, heavy reality. We come from a very different world where everything's just love and light. It's different vibration. These 3D physical bodies are hard work. You see this with people. A lot of people have issues with their bodies, how they feel in their bodies. We don't come from a place where we have bodies, not like this. And the one thing that one of my biggest insights actually over the last year, and especially when we sort of talk about finding your purpose, your authentic purpose, what's your whole self really about. And I realized that one of my areas of expertise, one of my skill sets, one of the reasons why I was created was to help this human interaction, this integration into this experience. And that is why I have been, I think, naturally gifted to understand human psychology, the mind, how you can reprogram, how you can change belief systems, how you can change your perception. Because we know, a lot of people experience this. You go out, you take a mind-altering substance. It changes your level of perception. It'll only do it for a few hours whilst you're in a social evening. But you can do that normally. You can just change your level of perception, just tiny, just by that 1%. And your whole life will change. You'll just see things from a very different angle. And this is how you can help people, is that I just sow seeds. I create spells. So you talk to people. And you don't necessarily talk at them, you just talk through them. And then that resonance, that vibration, that seed is sowed. And then all you need to do is just water it with positive intention. You can do that from afar, like we know. And that's just another way you can create change. And I've been trying this with one of the most important people in my life, who I'm desperate, absolutely desperate to have on this journey with me. Sadly, at this moment in time, but it's just a moment in time, they're not quite there. But they will. And I just have to learn patience. And this is another really good lesson in the game of life, is patience and belief. And then it will happen and it will work. And everything, I firmly believe everything will work out perfectly fine in the long run. Everything will just be beautiful exactly the way it is. I just have to let go of that human story and control, which I've told myself for 40 odd years. And when you do that, again, you just reach this whole new level of freedom. And that's a really great way, because what you can do is, instead of imposing your ideas onto people, you become that example, you become that person. So like now through like social media and stuff, I get thousands of messages a month going, what do you do? How are you? I want to feel like you. What do I need to do to feel like you? So then you capture people. So, okay, so then they're now engaged. And if they're now engaged, and you have their permission, that's when you're going to create those real changes. And it's about becoming that shining example of light. That person that people can look to and go, yeah, you know what? He just seems to have got his shit sorted out. I'd just really like just to have his energy. I mean, that's something I get a lot. It's one of my biggest questions online. It's just like, what do you do to have this energy, this enthusiasm, this positive energy? Why are you always smiling? I'm like, well, every single fucking day I wake up and I decide that's exactly how I'm going to be. It's really simple. You just make that conscious decision. This is what I choose to see. This is what I choose to be.
Yeah, funny how consciousness, we have consciousness, we are consciousness, we make decisions consciously. It's interesting, isn't it? So it's just about choosing. And it's amazing that people live their lives like they don't have a choice. Isn't that wild? Isn't that the craziest thing? Like, they are not the ones that chose to come here. Like, they're not the ones that picked this script for them. That they're not the ones choosing their everyday reality. It's crazy.
Yeah. I liken this human experience to that US TV show Westworld. And I think Westworld is a really good sort of analogy to sort of give you an idea, is that, you know, the fact that we're here on Pachamama, Gaia, right now, abso-fucking-lutely, we decided this is exactly what we're going to do. And we decided to do it because we're in this unique time of human, but not just human, but universal consciousness expansion, where for the first time ever in history, and this has never been tried before, we're going to be combining light and darkness. We're going to be combining all the species, unfolding this mass consciousness. It's going to be one hell of a fucking party. And, you know, the idea is to create this beautiful 5D experience, heaven on earth, down here, where we still benefit from having these incredible physical bodies that we can touch people with, we can explore, we can jump out of planes, we can swim in beautiful oceans, we can chill out on beaches. But with all those extra incredible Superman properties that we will have, the abilities to instantly manifest anything that you desire, to travel, to go through multiple dimensions, to manipulate time and space. You know, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be so much fun. And, you know, the sooner everyone on this planet can start to just raising their consciousness just slightly. And like you and I know, you can change consciousness actually very quickly. And you can maintain higher consciousness very, very easily with a bit of practice. Like Peter always says, you've got to train that muscle. And that practice doesn't take long because your higher self, that's what it wants. This has been worked on for so long. And, you know, throughout history, they've been trying to raise consciousness, but, you know, they have peaks, but then it's brought back down because you are fighting these counterbalancing forces where, you know, a lot of society, you know, will feed off the negative vibrations. So it's deeply fascinating, and it's wonderful how it's all going to unfold. And yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm incredibly excited. I'm just like, crack on. If I could fast forward the next 20 years, I would.
No, you wouldn't. But I know what you mean. Yeah, it is going to be wild out there. Well, at some point we're going to have to wrap it up just because of, you know, human stuff. But if people want to like go and see you and see what you get up to and tell people like what the fuck you're doing in the world and how they can find you.
Yeah, so super easy to find. So Instagram is my platform of choice because I like pretty pictures and stuff like that. So easy to follow. It's just Orson Boon, just at Orson Boon on Instagram. And yeah, that's sort of it's a fairly newish sort of Instagram account, and it's just sort of it's documenting my journey, and you'll see what I was like before, where I was terrified. I wouldn't do videos. There's certainly no way I'd be talking on camera. There's no way I'd be talking about anything that I perceive to make myself feel vulnerable. Now I love vulnerability. I will take every opportunity to embrace vulnerability, because in vulnerability I've realized you actually just find huge amounts of power. So yeah, Instagram is your friend if you want to sort of follow me. And YouTube, I've only really just started sort of to grow, so I need to put a bit more attention and focus onto that. But yeah, my idea is to do more talks, more videos, working with more groups, more clients, because I want to sort of help people really experience this world as I experience it now. And I'm not even experiencing it at, 20%. Yeah, there's just so much more to this world, and it's hugely exciting. And I think if people really just took the time just to start exploring awareness, consciousness, and actively just trying to raise all of that, they will just see their lives just fundamentally changing on just so many levels. And the beautiful thing about this, right, it's free. I mean, if you come to me and you want me to do your coaching, then that's obviously comes at a cost, but it's worth every single bloody penny, because in 6 months' time, I promise everybody they will not be the same person at all. Guarantee that. but that's a commitment. But the other stuff, you can just start thinking about this. You can do this for free. That's the crazy thing. You got the gifts of God at your fingertips. You've just got to decide to use them.
You said it, man. You said it. And earlier you basically said that nothing can compare to that feeling of unconditional love in your heart, that Christ consciousness coming through. Wow, that's the thing that everybody wants. They just want to be loved. They just want to feel that it's going to be okay, and they want to be accepted for who they are. And all of those things, there's no cost. It's absolutely free to start doing setting your intentions in the morning, doing your spiritual practices, reading books, watching videos of enlightened masters, like all the things that you can do to start getting that love in your heart, meditation, quieting the mind, everything that will lead to just the peace and bliss of actual reality becoming your reality. It's all free. There's no money yet. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous that people are spending money to keep themselves in a lower state. That's fucking madness. You're spending money on pills, whether they're drugs or antidepressants or whatever it is, to actually lower your consciousness, when you can do a bunch of stuff for free that will raise your consciousness and your level of love. And actually, it's crazy because antidepressants, they just block off your ability to feel. So rather than just feeling complete shit, you're like, they just kind of numb you out. It's fucking crazy, because then even if you're not inspired to fix your problems, obviously, because you don't feel anything. So you just now you're basically fucked. You're absolutely fucked, because your vibration cannot go higher, because you won't fix the problems. You can't feel love. You can't feel anything. So it's like, what a perfect thing to get people hooked on, to make money while you keep people in a lower state of vibration under control. It's just mad. It's mad. It's really, really mad. But I think people are waking up to it slowly but surely.
But this very quick point, because I know we need to wrap up. But this is the absolute fucking insanity of it, right? I had a client who was spending $100,000 a year just on cocaine. Right? All this guy wanted was to feel unconditional love and compassion. And he was spending £100,000 a year on a substance which is going to take you so far away from unconditional love and compassion. This is the madness. Is that people are spending huge sums of time and money self-sabotaging, telling themselves these little stories. Well, if I do this, I'm going to feel this. They already know the fucking truth. They know with every single fucking line they do of coke, they're just going to have to keep doing it to try and maintain some sort of artificial bullshit state. Whereas I said to them, like, come and spend some time with me. Give me 25,000 of that 50,000. And I promise you, in 6 months' time, not only would I have saved you 75,000 quid, but you'll also be able to experience everything that you're chasing for. The decision is yours. There is no right and wrong. There's no good and bad. But if you really, really want to find what you really, truly looking for, stop fucking lying to yourselves. Slap yourself in the face. Listen to the voice which is already telling you that all of this is shit and it's all wrong and you need to fucking man up and fix your shit. And become free. Or just carry on doing exactly what you're doing now. But I promise you it's not going to change. That pattern's just going to repeat year on year, year on year. But you're just going to continue to spiral, going down further, deeper, until you get to that pain point, that rock fucking bottom, where you've probably lost everything that means anything to you. And at that point, the universe will give you this wonderful opportunity to go, well, the only way's up now, mate. The decision is yours. Waste time if you want. That's fine. Makes no difference to me. Makes no difference to lots of other people. But it will affect you. So if you're chasing something like that, unconditional love and happiness, start really chasing that. Stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending that, well, if I go out and, mess around with these prostitutes, buy these cars, take these drugs, fly to this place, that is going to give you any sort of long-term happiness. It's not, and it doesn't. And all these people who behave like this know it. They know the truth. They're just too afraid. They're just too scared. And they're just too much stuck in this sort of cowardice mentality to actually face up to their bullshit. And the crazy thing is ultimately, all it starts with is having a fucking conversation with yourself. If you can't have an honest, blunt conversation with yourself, then you probably need to come and talk to me.
I think that's a good place to end. That was fucking beautiful. I want to say as well, this podcast, it's really getting exciting for me because it's like, and the thing is, some part of me is like, you should upload one once a week or whatever. It's like, no. When I meet somebody who needs to be on it and I actually am like really excited, that's when I do a fucking podcast. There's no point otherwise. I don't want to get someone on. I'm like, yeah, they're okay. I don't give a fuck. So it's just like, but it's so exciting because the more I meet of fuckers like you, I know you're going to know other people who are you going to be like, you got to get this guy. And so it's just like, I'm so excited to just be finding more of these epic humans to get on here and just spread this fucking truth and love. And oh my God, it's so good.
More epic humans. So if they're out there,
they're out there. Yeah, reach out. So what I'm going to do, so if you're listening on Libsyn or iTunes, if you go to YouTube, and we've only been on YouTube a few months now, but I put the links to stuff. So I'll put the link to his Instagram. I'll grab one of your best YouTube videos from YouTube. So and anything else he wants to share a link to, which after the podcast, I'm sure he's going to go, oh, I should have mentioned this. So I'll put all the links in on the YouTube for sure. And if you're not on the mailing list on Woke.As, be on the mailing list because I'm planning some fucking crazy actual events with some of my other spiritual family, with Paul. Me and this guy already are co-conspiring for some crazy ass shit. So, and that's always going to be the mailing list. So I'll email and be like, hey, if you're interested in this crazy thing we're going to do, fucking. So that's where it's going to go. So if you're not fucking on it, I email like almost never, but be on the fucking list. And holy shit, dude, I can't wait to do more content with you and just hang out. And it's going to be a crazy ride.
Well, like I said to you yesterday, and it was reaffirmed last night when I got back to my apartment. I was like, I already see you and I on a stage in front of a lot of people, really fucking mixing shit up. That's what excites me. And this is just the start. This is just the wonderful start of this incredibly exciting journey that many of us are going to be absolutely popping on. And yeah, I mean, reach out, get connected, don't be shy, and start living your authentic truth is my only advice, because it will fundamentally change your world.
Yeah, it doesn't get any more simpler than that. It's just literally every day start getting closer and closer to you, like really you, saying what you feel, going after your truth, loving fully. Like that, and that's everybody's truth. If you really remember who you are, loving unconditionally all other beings, that is the truth. That's the thing we're all looking for, but we're looking for it in the wrong fucking places. And you've just summed it up so adequately there. Just start looking for it in the only place it actually is real, and it's right here. It's always here. It's always there. Just start doing the work, clean, get rid of all the fucking rubbish, silence the mind, get in here. It's all there. And there's so many beings out there, like this guy, who are there to help. So if it's not him, if it's not me, if it's not Paul, like find out whoever can help you if you really need the help, and fucking get on it, because life is here to be fully experienced and fully lived, and it's epic. But you got to do the work to get there. We love you, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
We love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace. Say bye.
Goodbye to everybody.